From Working Title Headquarters in Baltimore, Maryland, it's ITRS with Jordan BDJ Taylor. Tonight's guest, Baltimore freelance writer Larry Little. And the host of Wrestling Realm, Brian H. Waters. And now for the host of ITRS, BDJ.
Hey guys, and welcome to a very special episode of ITRS. I'm your host, BDJ, aka BD from the county, aka the voice of the county, aka I see the game like Romo, aka I see the game like Lamar, aka the fourth quarter where legends are made. And you might see behind me a dazzling display of a ring and the words the fourth quarter. Yeah, man. Big news. Great announcement. Maybe you've seen it. Maybe you haven't seen it. Maybe this is your first time seeing it. Maybe you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. That's why we're here. We're here to all get on the same page. Listen, there's a new website in Baltimore from your peoples, my friends. I'll put their names out there. Gabby and Jared. I'm sorry, Gabrielle Manning Jones. Let's just be professional. We're grown-ups. Gabrielle Manning Jones and Jared Perkins, Brandon Austin, Craig T. Lee, and Jawan G. Listen, we've been working for months trying to put together something special for y'all. Y'all may have seen the demo tape. It was retired. R.I.P. Pour out some liquor for the firstborn. But in its place, we have a newly transformed, a newly reimagined platform. And I don't know, man. I'm super excited about it. I'm excited about having a space where people that have never written can submit. People never written. Is that how you say that? People never written. Niggas who never wrote shit can send in emails to us with their writing and their writing featured. And that's not just people that want to pursue a career in writing, but artists, creators, entrepreneurs, whatever you are. If you have some game and some gems to drop, please bring it our way. But a space for that, a space to highlight and spotlight what's going on in Baltimore, what's going on underground, around the world. Like, I don't know, the possibilities are just so endless. Y'all saw what we did with the demo tapes, and we were doing that just off the strength of ambition, off the strength of wanting to do something, wanting to create. I know for me personally, I wanted to have an internship as a journalist, and I wasn't a journalist in major, so I couldn't get an internship. So I was like, I'll just make my own internship with Justice, and we ended up turning a blog in a dorm room into something that lasted for 5 or 6 years. So to here today now with all of that experience, with a new endeavor, all these relationships I formed, all these dope people in my corner, all these dope people on my side, it's a blessing, man. So the fourth quarter, sports, music, culture, free game, a lot of other stuff to be unveiled. We got the home team honors on the way. A lot of people nominated for that. A lot of feedback on that. A lot of dope people in the city are going to get the flowers they deserve. Yeah, I'm just excited. It's a lot more shit on the way. Like I promise, we got shit planned out like till 2022. But for now, just sit back and enjoy. And if you want to get involved, you want to have your voice spotlighted, contact me, holler at me, and if hopefully it's my hope that not just through that, not just through ITRS, not just through the working title, not just through my work with Black Yield, not just through it's my hope that through all of this, that if you don't take nothing away from BDJ is a man, baby, BDJ is whatever you see me as, it's that whatever your idea is, whatever your dream is, whatever you want to make happen, you can make that shit happen. It might be a little hard in respect, it might take a little long in respect, it might cost a little bit more money, it might be some hurt feelings and broken hearts along the way, and it might be a lot of growth and self-reflection that you gotta do to grow up and boss up to who you really want to be. But if you really want that shit, you can make it happen. So make sure you check out the fourth quarter HQ, FOURTHQ. I was about to spell quarter. Should I spell quarter? We can just do the shit where you put it. Why do I need to spell it? It's right fucking behind me. Y'all can read that shit. Fourth quarter, the word fourth quarter HQ.com. And make sure you follow us on social media, social network. Oh, Diction almost had me. You almost had me, you motherfucker. You almost got me, but not this time. I'm learning how to speak English slowly but surely in this fucking show. And I promise, by the end of it, I'm not having no fucking grammatical talking syntax. And what the fuck is this? Fuck it. We here now. Great show coming tonight. It's an honor and it's ironic that we're talking about journalists, we're talking about a platform, we're talking about the fourth quarter because we have Score. Who do we have tonight? Can you say it in your announcer voice?
Oh, tonight we have the marvelous journalist himself. We have Larry Little, and we have the legendary Baltimore black journalist himself, Ryan H. Waters. Here tonight on ITRS.
This guy's fucking amazing. That's why they pay him the big bucks. Listen, great show tonight. A lot of game, a lot of honesty, a lot of people from Larry to Brian talking about their experiences, talking about shit they've been through, talking about the highs, the lows, the relationships, the connections, and how they're trying to move forward and pay that shit forward. So, yeah, Chapman, man, y'all know we come with quality. Your ad can be here.
Yo, Score, Benjamin Banger, Tom here, congratulating you personally. I understand that you guys just finished an album called Telepathy Club, and it was inspired by Toonami and Mob Psycho 100, and looking forward to seeing what you guys have created.
Oh, y'all sound so lovely for me. I'm flattered. I'm flattered. But look, coming up, we got a very special guest. Journalism ain't dead, y'all. That's all I'm gonna say. Y'all, some of you know my background, some of you don't, but I got my career in this whole media thing as a writer myself. So it's always a special place in my heart for people that are still what's a slick way to say it? That are still adding fuck it. I think it's that right. We here now. But look, we got the good brother Larry Little. I'm trying to take him off mute. I can't find the button. The mute button be kicking my ass too. If you watch this show, you know the record button and the mute button be fucking me up. So Larry, I just sent you the joint to unmute.
All right, bet. What's going on? Yeah. Mute button.
Hey, before the episode started, me and Larry were having an interesting conversation, and we came to the very similar conclusion that niggas would have had to shoot the shit out of Debo.
Debo has to die. Debo has to die. Like, yo cannot walk the streets. He's a terror, and he's basically really just making a big deal out of shit he started. Like, nigga, you trying to fight me over some shit you started? Nah, that ain't it. You gotta go, buddy. You gotta go.
We gotta get you the fuck out of here. Are there any other movie characters that you feel acted just above and beyond the justifiable?
Like they most definitely gotta go.
Niggas should have done them way worse than they did, but they got off. Debo got off kind of good. I say Damon too, honestly. Well, Damon got his nuts.
Not from Friday, but O-Dog. He needed to die. The fact that Kane dies and O-Dog doesn't die, pretty fucking ridiculous. He's the wildest nigga in the whole fucking movie. Like, from start to finish, he is on 150% nut shit.
For no reason.
For no reason. He's just young wild nigga doing reckless young wild nigga shit in the hood. And yet the Muslim nigga dies.
Yeah, he was a good man.
He dies.
R.P. Sharif.
You feel me? R.P. Sharif. The nigga the football player don't die. But they kill Sharif. And Sharif's, what was it, his brother, his cousin, some shit like that early on in the movie. And then they killed Kane.
Oh, Harold. They definitely killed Kane.
They killed the shit out of Harold. And I'm like, all right, if you want to kill Kane, I get it. You know, the whole story of the cycle never ends. Niggas can't truly escape even if they want to. That moral of the story, for sure. But you don't kill O-Dog, which, I mean.
That's how I go in real life, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not real life, but it's still like, if niggas who deserve to die, yeah, O-Dog.
Definitely Chauncey should have died.
Oh yeah, Chauncey, O-Dog, both of them deserve to get clipped, but Chauncey don't die because he's an informant. So, like,
every interview of ITRS has an origin story. Let's get into the origin story of Larry Little.
Oh man, so like, do we start like from day one or?
That's your story, huh?
All right. So I have two parents. They never got married, so always separated. Two separate households. I was originally born in the city, and then when I was real super young, my mother moved out to Woodlawn. I was out there between the ages of 7 and 8, and then we moved back to one of her old houses that she lived in with my sister when she was younger, out in Reservoir Hill. And then from there, niggas did school, young nigga shit. I was more of a shelter kid because my mom was not playing that shit. And this is back when Reservoir Hill still had the vacants and the blue lights on the corner. So
Oh,
yeah, she was trying to keep niggas in the house. It was still a bit much. But my mom is my pillar, and since we've gotten better over the years, it really makes it easy to reflect on all the really cool shit she did when I was a kid. So she gave me a shit ton of books. Got a nigga little PlayStation, a little Game Boy here and there. Worked really hard so I can have cool shit as a kid and not have to worry about being bored and getting into trouble. But she also gave me one of the most important things ever, which was a black Panasonic CD player. And that's where the whole music shit kind of like kicked in.
there we go.
Yes, sir. That's where the whole music shit kicked in. I had that black Panasonic for years. And then she kicked it up a notch and she gave me a stereo system. And not just
applying pressure.
Mama was not fucking around. A 5-disc changer, 2 cassettes, and the 2 big speakers on the side.
You was living like Big Harold.
Oh, hoes, you a nigga was in. I was out here, you feel? But then things went left. Start fucking up the school. So she took a nigga TV. We didn't have cable, so I was watching, the same basic channels, 45, 54, and 12. I think 21. If not 21, then definitely 12. So Martin reruns, because they were syndicated at that point. Steve Harvey Show, Wayans Brothers, all the nice classics.
Sister, Smart Guy. James Class, I know, I was there.
Exactly, the whole lineup. But took the TV, took PlayStation, and worst of all, took the sound system. So I went from bumping NSYNC at mad ignorant levels and Bow Wow at mad ignorant levels to just reading books in silence. It was... I found that sound system like years later. It's still in the basement of our old house. Nobody lives in it now because we had some plumbing issues, but it's still down there. Whether or not it works or not, I don't know. But that sound system was kind of what got me like my foot in the door. Like that sound system and that CD player got my foot in the door of really falling in love with music as a whole. And as far as rap goes, Bow Wow we get that nigga a lot of shit for being a fucking herb sandwich now.
That's Bow Wow, but not Lil Bow Wow.
Yeah, not Lil Bow. Lil Bow Wow was actually the whole fucking truth for real. And he kind of like, it was nice to have somebody who was around your age, a little older than you, so not quite your age, but a little older than you, talking about shit you can identify with, like girls and wanting to take care of your parents and having fun and just being a kid and shit. Real simple shit. Like it wasn't quite the polish of say like a Radio Disney or no shit like that or a Kids Bop, but it had just enough edge, like just enough edge without going too far.
The first time I heard Bow Wow say nigga, it fucked me up.
Oh nigga, when I first heard him talk about bitches, I was like,
Howard, I didn't get there yet.
You just talking about buying your mom a house, my nigga. Now you talking about I'm like,
oh. He said the dog, he said, when you say pet me nowadays and the dog was poking, I said, oh.
Okay.
God.
Puberty, you got it.
So when did you start more so writing about hip hop?
So I really didn't start writing about rap for real, so only a few years ago, honestly. I would say around, I didn't write my first article and publish it, I think until like, I want to say 2018.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been really recent. I've always been good with English and writing in general, according to parents and teachers and shit like that. But I ain't have no real confidence behind it because you want to say something, but you don't know how to say it and you don't know where to start. You also don't have the confidence to just go out and do it. So to backtrack a little bit. So I went to Cardinal Gibbons. They're not open no more, but you know,
all of my guys went to Gibbons.
yeah, Gibbons. But I dropped out after failing freshman year twice. So my mother was like, well, look, either you can go to Randallstown and try that shit again, or you can just get your GED. This is back when Randallstown niggas was wilding the fuck out. So I'm like, I'm good on that. And she was like, well, we're going to go ahead, get the GED. And that's what I ended up doing. I went to CCBC for a few semesters. Fuck that shit up. I went when I was like 15, 16. Fuck that shit up. Got put on probation. Fucked it up again. And then I was just like, yo, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing anymore. I got to step back and leave it alone. So from 16 to I want to say 17, 18, I was just out of school and just on some just depressed shit, like in the crib. Didn't go nowhere, didn't do nothing, and the only friends I had was like on Xbox and shit. Like I had friends, like I had my niggas who I'm still cool with right now. It's like, but for the most part, I lost contact with everybody because niggas is off enjoying their high school life, and you're up like 7 a.m. in the morning playing Gears of War and shit. Like nobody's gonna be in that.
But is Prestige in that thing that people do on Gears of War? Prestige? Is that the big
no, that's so COD is Prestige. Gears of War was just you smacking niggas. Just to say you could.
Damn, I'm washed.
Yeah, and trying to get like to level 100 and shit like that. But that was a whole.
Did you get to level 100 at least?
Nigga, I was playing in video games between 16 and 18. I was at my peak. You know Modern Warfare 2, right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
At my peak, I was number 77 in the world on that game.
I wish I had my glasses on so I could hit the.
Yeah, 77. That's after they fixed the leaderboards because niggas were like doing like rooms and shit, kind of like boost a leaderboard standing.
77.
Yeah, that's what I mean. A couple of my niggas, I tell them that now. They look at me like, nigga, what the fuck? Because it's like millions of people on Call of Duty. I wouldn't even
getting a bag off it too.
Yeah, and this is before like esports were like esports. I think the only people that were like competitive back then, it was still like Halo players and T-Squared and niggas like that. So Call of Duty hadn't taken off quite like that. And Call of Duty never would end up really becoming a crazy, serious competitive sports for it's niggas don't play it like that. But before like the bag was really there in esports, niggas was going hard just cause. And it wasn't so much cause like I mean niggas enjoyed the game, they had the free time and they had people to play it with. But really what I found out it was the fact that niggas just need to succeed in something. Yeah. Like I've always been like a bit on the hyper competitive side. Even when I was younger, I would play like, you know, them like basic computer games that come with your computer and shit.
Like Minesweeper.
Yeah, like Minesweeper. Not so much, but there was like a pool game at one point where you was like connect the balls, get 3 in a row and shit and things like that. And I remember one time I got real frustrated with it. I'm like, fuck, like I'm trying to get past this level and I couldn't do it. I would just sit there until I kept trying. Mm-hmm. Mother came in the room and she's like, yo, look, what are you doing? Like I'm like, mommy, I can't get past the level. It's hard. Like I'm trying, but I can't do it. She's like, okay, just try again tomorrow. And I'm like, what do you mean try again tomorrow? Like that whole idea that, you know, like to stop and give up just to come back to it. It didn't register with me as a kid. So that got amplified when I was older. And now it's like, you don't have school to validate any kind of progress or success. You don't have peers that are around you that, you know, that know you and look like you, that can, you know, let you know whether or not you're doing is right or wrong. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, my dad wasn't the most involved nigga in the world, like pretty oblivious to what was going on with me. So I'm just in my room burning out, playing the game over and over again. And at one point it was like, depression gets so bad, you don't even like doing this shit you enjoy doing. Like the game became mature at that point. And I went, nigga just burned out and just said, fuck it for a few months. And then that's when we got, again, deeper into the music. And also because of depression, a nigga didn't want to hear rap no more. I couldn't, everything was just sounded bad. And not because the music was actually bad, because I just didn't want to hear it. So that's how I ended up finding out about Flying Lotus and fucking
Thundercat.
Yeah, Thundercat, Giraffage, the nigga who made Burial, I forget what his name is. a couple of different electronic cats. I'm like, the concept of there not being any words was like, the fuck, how's that gonna work? It was fucking well, nigga. Like on those, especially Cosmo Grammar, that was the first electronic album where I'm like it's an electronic jazz fusion. I'm like, yo, this is fucking crazy. This nigga is different. And he's black and he's a giant fucking nerd. Kind of weird sometimes, but still, grand scheme of things, giant fucking nerd. So I'm like, yeah, this is right up my alley. And then I would find out he had songs with that nigga Blue from Blue in Exile. And I'm like, oh shit, crossover. My nigga, we back up in, and it brought me back. So at every like major interval in my life, there's always been something that brings me back to rap music if I ever like kind of get away from it. And there's always been a moment that kind of reminds me that within hip hop is kind of where I'm going to exist until the day I die. Yeah. And what it looks like, you know, who knows? So writing is now the next frontier of that. And I got an internship with DJ Booth back in 2016. And that's kind of where I like started the process officially. I didn't publish anything for them until last year. And that was my interview with the Nashville rapper Brian Brown. That was my very first published interview.
Congratulations! A year later.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, and it has been like the anniversary just passed.
That's what's up, though. Interview probably my favorite rapper right now.
Benny the Butcher.
Benny the Butcher. How did that come about, and what was that experience like?
So that was really fucking crazy because managing editor reached out to me. I didn't pitch no shit. He hit my DMs. He's like, yo, I got opportunity for you. And I'm like, yo, who the fuck are you? Talking about opportunities and shit. The niggas hopping your DMs all the time talking about they got money for you and they got opportunities and shit. The niggas be bluffing. But he was dead ass. So I went ahead, I did my Googles, make sure his email and everything was certified. I'm like, oh, this is real. Okay, bet. I'm listening. He said, I'm trying to get, you know, some fresh voices who read some of your work. And I'm like, it's really, and they were like, it's really good. I'm like, pause. The fuck did you read? Because at the time, I only had 3 things. I got Brian Brown interview. I had a personal essay on Mac Miller. I had another personal essay on Royce the 5'9" and his the album he released before the Allegory. I forget what it's called. Book of Ryan. Yes, sir. So I did pieces on that, but I'm like, those were medium pieces, not edited too crazy, and they're okay. I can't be unrealistic with it. They're okay. But niggas, you feel me? Apparently they saw some shit they liked, and it was like, well, all right, here you go. And I'm like, all right, my nigga, what's the catch of this motherfucker? And there wasn't one. I called Benny, I think, 3 days after we had that exchange, and he's super cool on the phone, funny ass nigga. And then, yeah, the only thing he told me was it's a high turnaround time. So I needed to have it done by, I think, Friday. And I'm like, at first I got kind of scared because I had never been on deadline before. Everything I've done, I've had mad leniency. There's never been a rush, so I had no turnaround time. So I'm like, I got scared at first. I'm like, yo, can you even like do this right now? Are you capable? Don't say yes if you don't think you're capable. I'm like, I don't think I can do it. I was talking to my homegirl. She's like, stop being a little bitch and just do it. If you don't get it done, then you don't get it done.
Shout out to the homegirl. So we're about to start to bring it to a close. It's been a wonderful conversation, but I want to ask you about this. I know you've been getting a lot of love and a lot of feedback from your Baltimore Rapper article.
Yes.
What went into that? Think behind the process of narrowing down everybody in the city to 11 artists, and what has the feedback been like?
So, I mean, honestly, it's been way better than I expected. Way better than I expected. Not a whole lot of negative feedback. A couple of really valid criticisms that I fuck with heavily. But other than that, man, it's been super positive and it's been great. The process kind of just came about because I told myself like back in 2014 that I wanted to reconnect with my local music scene because I've been tapped out. Being in the crib, depressing shit, you're not really checking for your own city. And niggas grew up around the time Moose got started and when Scooter got started, and I missed that whole era. But by the time they got picked up by or noticed by the Diddy's and the Rosses and MMGs and shit like that, they're out of here. So it's like, okay, bet, well, who's left here? And then I read a article on niggas who are already here by Lawrence Burney, on Noisy back in like 2014, 2015. And it had niggas like Butch on it, Basement Rap, Sheep, back when he was still Sheep DZ, and cats like that. And I'm like, yo, this shit hard. The fuck? This is all Baltimore, nigga? So after that, I'm like, I need to come. I need to figure out what's been going on and tap back in. So around 2016, I start like just keeping my ear more open. And one of my young niggas, my boy Everett, I've known him since he was like in high school and shit. He always told me about his friends making cool ass music and shit. And that's how I found out about 4K Michael. Another nigga who's not on the list, but he is really solid, K Woods, and a couple other people. And I've been following them just like quietly, like just, quiet support. I'm like, okay, the niggas out here getting to it. That's back when they were still shooting music videos and shit. So I'd known about him for a while, like quite a few years. And then the rest I've kind of stumbled upon the past like 2.5 years or so. I started going to events, 808s, the Pipe Dream shit, and just seeing who was performing, who was hot, and who I was fucking with. And I'm realizing I'm more of an underground nigga than anything now. So I really do fuck with that sound and the work ethic that's behind it. So I really love to see niggas doing shit on their own and making the best shit that they can without worrying about compromising to a greater sound or ideal and no shit like that. So it was really easy. Callow's tough. She puts on a great show. Cam is a hard fucking rapper. She's fucking nuts. She puts on a great show too. YTK, I found out about the funny shit. I read about YTK back in like 2018. That's in passing. I had no idea he's from fucking Baltimore. I'm like, oh shit, you on my home platform right now, and I didn't even know. Let me get my shit together. And so I spent time with his music, 2019 going into 2020, and that kid is different. That nigga is special.
That's a goat right there. That's a young goat.
YTK, 4K Michael, Miss Cam, those three are like
that's your big three.
Super fucking special. And I think everybody on the list has like a really crazy bright future. But them three out of like the young niggas right now that are going, once they hit they stride for real, it's fucking nuts. So yeah, it was nice to put them on there. Steezer, I've known about because he tapped in with me a few years back, and I've just been listening to him drop music. So a lot of these niggas I've been listening to for years now at this point, and I was just waiting for because I've been saying for years, the moment I get a chance to write something about niggas from here, I'm going to. And as an intern, you kind of like scared to pitch certain shit because you don't want to. One, you don't want to get lost in the sauce because editors' emails are very fucking crowded, and two, you don't want to get your shit turned down because niggas don't think your shit is important. And shout out to Ryan, aka DJ Z. He was like, you just gotta be tough. You can sing whatever. Fuck. I'm like,
that's real though. Let people know where they can find you.
So MFN _ L God on Instagram. It's BurnerGod77 on Twitter. Unfortunately, my other account suspended on some dumb shit. Fuck you, Alex. I don't know if you're ever gonna see this, but I hate you so much, nigga. That's my man's. I love him to death. But fuck that. My account suspended. Nothing but negativity for that nigga in all of his days. I still love you though. But yeah, so BurnerGod77 on Twitter. And yeah, that's really about it, man. I'm still working on putting my website together so I can actually have like a nice portfolio of things. And yeah, that's everything.
Okay. So listen, that was Larry Little. On the other side of the break, we have Pre-Swerve. Hopefully y'all said there's some advertisements this week, so y'all shit could be featured. If not, hey, it'll just be Score Swayze the working title. No man to me. But hey, check us out.
What up? Sean Ski in the place to be. Yeah, this is Sean Ski in the place to be. What up? Sean Ski in the place to be. What up? Sean Ski in the place to be. Watching me, 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 watching me. Them niggas watching hoppers running from the cops.
ITRS is brought to you by Swayze TV. It's just fucking television. And Working Title Podcast. Catch all new episodes 11 a.m. every Monday morning. Back to the show.
Yeah, the story was going too well, so of course it had to be technical difficulties. But listen, I've got to record. That's on me. That's my bad. It's television. Y'all know how the fuck it goes, and y'all know I'm transparent with y'all about the wins and the losses. So Brian was over here telling his life story in great detail. I cried. I teared up a little bit. Score had to hang up the phone. I think that the clouds broke and the sun started shining, but we back to it. Now we're good. Now we're live. Apologies.
Growing up, I was a huge wrestling fan. My mother said she knew that she was going to be pregnant with, she said she knew that she was going to have a boy when she was pregnant with me. She always, when she would watch wrestling, because she was on bed rest, and back in '86, you couldn't everybody didn't have remotes, or all the TVs didn't have remotes. So the bedroom TV didn't have a remote. And every time wrestler came on, she would hear say, "Welcome to the World Wrestling Federation." I started kicking. And from that moment on, that's how she knew. And sure enough, when I was born, I was a huge fan. I would sit there and watch it with everybody. And at one point, I wanted to be a wrestler. But then I was watching, I believe it was The Secrets of Pro Wrestling. And it was Tom Pritchard, a guy who trained The Rock and Kurt Angle. He talked about not seeing his daughter grow up. And at that time, I always knew I wanted to have a family. And because of that, that's when I was like, I don't think the wrestling thing is for me. But, I also was into sports real heavy. And I was never like great at playing, but I always loved listening to the calls. I can remember certain calls of games. And my mentor, Sam Davis, who is the managing editor for the Baltimore Sun, now, at the time, he was a reporter. He was a sports reporter. And he took me under his wing. I told him that, this is what I wanted to do. So I went to Baltimore City College, and I would go to the games and I would write post-game articles, and I would share them with him, and he would give me feedback. So that's when I knew I wanted to really get into the journalism field. And as I was looking into journalism, I did take a break. It was supposed to be 1 year, ended up being 3 years. During that break, I was playing softball one day with my church league, and Monique Jones, who's I believe is the deputy editor for the Undefeated, at the time was at the Boston Globe. So we was talking, I think we had just lost in the playoffs, and we were sitting there talking. No, we had to have won. It was either we won or lost. And I was telling her what I wanted to do. And she told me, think about production. And I said, okay, and I listened. And she told me about, just how there's jobs behind the camera and producers, the money they make. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what I'll look into it. And sure enough, when I went to Morgan State, I signed up on the television production side. And during that time, I got to do a lot of cool things. And that's hence when I met my co-host, Dwayne Allen. And during that time, that's when I had a wrestling show with my cousin, but things wasn't going well. And he was getting into trouble, to keep it 100. He was getting into trouble. So I got this momentum, and like we're starting to like break the mold. And at the time, everybody didn't have a YouTube show or podcast. So even when I would go to the independent shows in Baltimore, I started getting people started recognizing me. I was like, oh wow. And that's when when I went to school, and me and Dwayne struck up a wrestling conversation. He watched the show, and then we kept talking about it. I said, yo, I want we got to do a show together. And sure enough, that's what we did. And it allowed us to practice our craft. And during that time, we created the show, but then I got a job at ESPN through the National Association of Black Journalists. And when I went to the convention in 2013, back in Orlando, I saw Monique. I thanked her. That was the first time I had seen her since that day. And I thanked her because it came full circle. And we had an opportunity to, I really got an opportunity to do a lot of cool things. I started off as sales quality control, which is a great way to breeze into ESPN. It's not the most appealing job, but you're there. You're like, wow, I'm on campus. At the time, the Ravens had just won the Super Bowl. So Ray Lewis was there. Keyshawn Johnson. I remember the first time I seen Keyshawn Johnson, and the first time really was Herm Edwards. I was like, wow. And he, no matter where you was, who he would speak. He was kind of like that uncle, grandfather. And like, hey, coach, and so that was cool. And I did that for about 4 months. Then I went to ABC News 1, where you're doing highlights. You're taking highlights off the server or creating quick highlights and sending them to ABC News 1 in New York. And they send it to the affiliates, the stations that's real small. They want to cover their sports teams, but they don't send people out. So it's just cheaper for them to go through ABC News 1. So I did that for about 2 months. And then I got on the Sports Center. To be honest with you, I didn't like it.
Really?
It changes how you watch a game. You watch a basketball game and you have to basically watch the whole game, log everything that happens, and then create a highlight, figure out the story. Sometimes and you just like, okay, this is going in the highlight package. Sometimes you don't. One thing you always got to have is you got to have open and isolation, or you can have dual isolation. That's if you ever notice when you watch Sports Center, all highlight status, they look the same. It starts off with the isolation on the star player. Then they show up the first play. Then they show the reaction to the play. They show the second play, a reaction to that play. The third play, a reaction. And then the walk-off with the final score. When you watch it, you go like, oh, wow. Unless it's like, now when it's like breakdown video, that's when they do the illustrations. That's where they analyzing it.
That's where they really if it's a bag with it.
Yeah. If it's a big game, you get more time, So when you start off, most of you're going to get about 40 seconds for your highlight, or 35 seconds. The better you get, the bigger the games you get. My first game was Lakers Blazers. Here's the thing. It was 2014. It was March 2014. It was the time when Kobe Bryant was hurt. And he had said a quote, but he wasn't at the game, so it messed up my highlight. He had said a quote, everybody have fun, because when I come back next year, it's vengeance on everybody, something like that. So I had this idea. That was going to be an ISO on Kobe, and we was going to put the quote on the screen. But he wasn't at the game, so I had to do something else. And it was cool because Jody Meeks, I believe, he had made a top 10 dunk, and I think he would have become the game-winning shot, and Damian Lillard missed the game-winning shot. So that was real cool. I did that. And if I would have stayed on that, I would have probably hated baseball, to be honest with you. And baseball is my favorite sport, but it was you watching the game, and then if something goes in extra innings or overtime, it's the worst. Like, you don't speak those words when you work in sports because of the ramifications. So I did that, and then I went to Mike and Mike. And when I worked on Mike and Mike, that was really cool. It was a grind. You're getting up, you're working 3:30 in the morning. Now this is over. This is about 5 years ago. We were scheduled from 3:30 to 12:30. We was out there 10 o'clock because once the show was over, we didn't have to
10 o'clock p.m.
10 o'clock a.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And most of the time you're sitting there till 12:30. You're wondering, okay, just in case they need to call you, but nobody. It just you didn't have nothing to do, so you just went home or went to the gym, or hung out on somewhere. But that was pretty cool. I worked there during the 2014 season. That's the main thing I remember. When I started, it was around the time when LeBron was going back to Cleveland, and that whole week we were wondering, hopefully he'll break the news on the time of the show so we can get that, that reaction.
Yeah.
He didn't break news till 12 o'clock that Friday. So I was off, but I was kind of hoping it happened while we was working. And so, that was cool. I did that. Working the NFL season was a grind though, because even though I was off on Sundays, if I didn't watch the games, it would be hard for me to kind of understand what had happened. So most of the time, my Sundays stayed on Red Zone, so I would be familiar with the plays and I could do my job easier. So, and that's when I realized, watching some of my friends who worked on the NFL shows, even it seems as if that season is more of a grind than the NBA or NFL. I mean MLB. So I did that, and then my favorite thing, if I was started here, I'd probably still be there, and that was social media. Social media was really cool. I learned that it was more than just tweeting, but making sure you had videos, pictures to go with the tweets. at that time, videos were becoming a thing more and more on social media, but also this was a time when Periscope was in its infancy, and everybody couldn't stream on Facebook Live, So that was really cool. Some of the coolest things I did was work the night the Warriors won their first championship against the Cavs. I was in the control room, and that made me irritated with LeBron that night. Now, he's one of my favorite players, but we couldn't go home until we couldn't give the show to LA until he finished his press conference. So we had to wait for him, and everybody had to talk and talk and talk. Mm-hmm. And while he was getting a shower, but they wanted to keep it on the East Coast. Now I'm wondering, why couldn't they just let the West Coast handle it? Because they all still saying it's on the same channels, but I guess there's something else behind there. But I left right before the NFL season started. I would come to Fox Sports in DC. It was really an internship, sort of trying to help build that brand. Through there, I was able to really meet a lot of people and give a lot of people opportunities. I came in as a social media manager, and what happened, a buddy of mine had kind of got the keys to the radio station, and I said, well, we got to do things more on the social media side. It's just unfortunate, we had some people who really took advantage of the opportunity and really wasn't trying to help put the brand over, but really put themselves over. But that's where I met like some of my close friends like Ashley Baker and Kelsey Nelson and Brandon Williams, through Fox, and we was able to really I've been able to really see their growth. Yeah. Ashley was somebody who wanted to do sports, just didn't have the opportunity or the knowledge to get the opportunity. And now to see her blossom has been phenomenal. So I've been doing that. And then, I'm also working at Johns Hopkins in media relations. Basically what I do is I connect the doctors with the media. And I also, if they have cool research, I find cool ways to promote it. I'm not a science writer, not the best at trying to write that science. But what I could do is I tell them straight up, hey, here's what I could do. I could take your content, do an interview with you the same way we're doing, and then I can edit it and help get it out there. So, and then, this is the 10th year of the wrestling realm. So me and my co-host Dwayne, we have some big things coming on. In addition to that, I also host the Breaking Through Glass Ceilings podcast, where people come on and they tell their stories. They share how their stories of success. I got an interview, a special edition one coming up on was it Tuesday, February 16th or 17th with Marquette King from the former punter for the Oakland Raiders. And and so I'm really
he was the man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a shame that right now he's not in the league. Hopefully he gets back there. So we get into, we talk about that. So it's going to be very interesting. And then I also have Chris Williamson out of SNY in New York coming on as well.
Bro, you are a vet at this because you got through every question I was going to ask. Got through your whole outro and all your plugs. Well, actually, there's one you didn't get to, but we can get to that now. But you're a pro. And one thing that I noticed about you, and then even in speaking to you, is that you're real big on paying things forward. And that's something that I can really appreciate, because there aren't a lot of people in this space that are waving the flag of, I did this and I did that, but I'm not here to talk about how great I am, blow smoke up my ass. I'm here to provide you with gems of, I learned this, I fucked this up, or I overthought this, or whatever it may be. So just want to commend you on that, bro. And even,
I appreciate it, man.
Oh, that's the applause. Oh, thanks, Stu. I thought you were asleep over there. My bad. I thought I was doing this one solo. My bad, bro. So let's close it here. Let's get some. I want two things from you. I want, number one, Wrestlemania predictions, and then this time next year, bold wrestling predictions.
Ooh, I like that one. A lot of people don't think about that. WrestleMania predictions for this year, man, it's tough. I think I wouldn't call it a hot take. You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to not go with the majority and say Sasha Banks actually beats Bianca Belair for the title. I may be in a minority just because you look at, they got the merchandise, so it kind of wouldn't make sense. But then again, Sasha hasn't had like that moment. So that's where I'm kind of confused. I'm also gonna predict the Miz to cash in his Money in the Bank successfully and become the WWE champion at WrestleMania. Also like
Who do you think he's gonna cash in on?
that's the thing because a lot of it weighs on Elimination Chamber. So I could, if I put my booking hat on,
Okay.
I would actually have Edge beat AJ Styles at WrestleMania for the title, and then I would have Miz cash in on Edge, the ultimate opportunist, getting a taste of his own medicine. It happened once, but CM Punk did it, and sometimes they try to erase things. So I could see that happening. But then I also see where it could be Drew and AJ, because you could probably go with a lot of people saying the money matchup is Edge versus Roman Reigns. I will say it's a match that I probably didn't think I wanted until I saw the interaction on SmackDown. So that's the confusing part. But it also makes for great television because you just can't call it. I have a bold prediction for that though, for WrestleMania. And that is, I believe Naomi and Lana will be together, and Naomi will turn and probably join the Hurt Business or join.
That would be hard.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, right? If you go in the history of WrestleMania, and as I like to call myself, a WrestleMania encyclopedia, there's always, every few years, though, first time it was all the time for the most part, but now it's been kind of spread out. There's always like this big turn, right? You go back to WrestleMania 15, Triple H turned on DX, even though we thought China had rejoined. WrestleMania 16 or 2000, the Vince McMahon turned on The Rock. WrestleMania 17, Austin joined with McMahon. You can even go back to like when Macho Man and Elizabeth and Sherry turned on Macho Man. So there's always like some big backstabbing, some big turn. So that's what I'm looking to see if it happens this year. Eve did it with Zack Ryder at WrestleMania 28. So
another one.
And yeah, so
Trish Stratus and Chris Jericho.
There you go. That's another one. So we could, that's the exclusive. I haven't said that nowhere else.
That's an Onyx score. Can we get a drop for that? When you're ready,
Yeah, so that's definitely, I was like, I'm thinking about it. I said, wait a minute, now we talking. I had thought about it the other day and I didn't say it, so I'm gonna wait to say it on my shows after this airs. Okay. So it'll air here first. Not that I'm so like great, but so and for next year, I'm gonna go with the one I want to see, and I think it'll happen because this man is being built in the right way. That's Big E winning the WWE Championship.
Oh, yeah.
I like the way. I don't want him facing Roman Reigns right now because I honestly don't want to see the title come off the tribal chief until there's fans in the building, because that pop when somebody finally beats him, we got to see him as champion. We got to see him arrogant. We got to see him like talking back. I believe he's going to clap back at fans if they were there. So we got to see all that. Like he still has another level to go. And I'm enjoying, like, he's must-see TV because you don't know what he's going to say or what he's going to do. And this is the Roman Reigns that Vince McMahon wanted years ago as far as the way crowds are reacted to him. He wanted a legit reaction, whether it was good or bad. He wanted a legit reaction. Unfortunately, the time he finally got that reaction, well, he got it when he beat Sheamus because nobody liked Sheamus. And it was ironic it happened in Philly. But he also got that reaction when he beat him. I mean, when Roman announced that he had leukemia, and then when he said he was in remission. But that was because people wasn't cheering Roman Reigns. They were cheering Joe Anoa'i. So now people are legit booing him and giving him the reaction. And Roman is in his bag, man. I say it every week. I say it every week. I think next year we may get, for a bold prediction next year also, I think we get a Sasha Bailey in a very special match. Not sure how it's going to be, whether it's going to be for the title, but I think they still, I feel like they want to give us a WrestleMania match. I was one, to be honest with you. I was upset that Sasha won the title so early, especially the way Bailey turned on her. I personally was saying, I was like, why don't they leave Sasha out till the Royal Rumble, have her come back, win? Now this happens, but who can argue with Bianca Belair? Yeah. As I said, my boy Terrence said, that's dropping on Thursday. afternoon at 2 p.m., she's the perfect wrestler. You know, she is the EST. Shout out to those wrestling girls, the podcast. They had her on their show, and you hear her talking about all the stuff she's been through, all the stuff that, you know, being a black woman. So I'm really excited.
Sheesh. Hey, Vince McMahon or Bruce Pritchard, if either of y'all listening, Mr. Waters is ready for his spot, and well, not on the road team because he's not going all the way to Connecticut. You said earlier, you know, he wants to be with his family, so he's ready for a spot on the road team, the virtual booking committee, whatever that looks like. Brother, thank you for your time.
Man, I appreciate it. I appreciate this opportunity. You know, it's definitely a blessing. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Don't stop. Look, it's not easy being consistent. A lot of people don't really understand that. They think, oh man, you just I'm gonna get a phone or I'm gonna get, you know, and I'm gonna do a podcast. And then, you know, people don't really go past 5 episodes. Yeah. You know, it's been a lot of times. I'm pretty sure people that ask you, hey man, how you start your show? They start it and then they stop. So I'm always one to shout out consistency where I see it, because it's one of those things you got to make time for it. You know, my wife would tell you, she'll be like, you doing another show? You doing another show? So I appreciate the invite.
Likewise, man. Likewise. Let the people know where they can find you at, where they can follow you, read your work, see your work, how they can show love, support, all that.
I appreciate that. You can find me at Brian H. Waters on all social media platforms. You can also follow the Wrestling Realm as Wrestling Realm. Is literal, so realm with a W, WREALM. Shout out to my mother for that idea, for putting a W behind it. So yeah, me and my brother, my co-host, my daughter's godfather, the real Dwayne Allen, have some huge things planned as we getting ready for as we in our 10th anniversary. We have a new show coming out. This also, I've told some people, but you know, it's coming out real soon, called Wrestling Realm Now. So you can get us every week. Before, everybody was getting me every week, but I told him, look, they like me, they love us. So I'm really excited about that, because I get a chance to talk to him all the time about stuff. And a lot of times we'll be on the phone and, you know, we be on route somewhere and I'll be like, man, we need to put that on the show. So I'm really excited to be able to do this. And then we also still, you know, help us reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, youtube.com/The Wrestling Realm, where we got a lot of cool content. If you a fan of the NWO and you remember the paid promotion, we reenacted that. That was shout out to Dwayne for that. He really studied the production and how to do it. So it's a real funny video. And then also, if you remember the time DX had their USA announcement, their public service announcement, we redid that too. So check those out, as we just wrestling fans, man. You know, it's something that we enjoy growing up. We don't take it too seriously when we get so upset. Now, there's been times where I had to like breathe when Daniel Bryan got cashed in. I was upset. Or when Kofi lost to Brock Lesnar, I was upset. So that was a moment.
We're not gonna talk about that. Yeah. My bold prediction though, but I know you in your bag, but you just reminded me.
Oh, I'm finished. Yeah, go ahead.
That CM Punk gonna come back for one of them Saudi Arabian bags.
Oh man,
he's going main event in Saudi Arabia. That's my prediction.
Wow, you know what? It would make sense, because I mean they've been able to bring Goldberg, Undertaker, so the guy over there got that money. Mm-hmm. And Shawn Michaels, like you said, and then also, you know, they asked for Yokozuna and Macho Man. Did you hear about that?
They was asking about dead wrestlers, and they were like,
It just go to show you too, like I think a lot of times we take for granted our freedoms and our technology because we're so used to it. But maybe, you know, they just probably didn't have access to know. You know, the guy over there, from what I understand or what I've heard, can't confirm that he's probably like around our age. It was a huge wrestling fan, and he got a gazillion of dollars. So imagine that life.
Yeah,
I mean, you saw the leather seats in the front row, like. Wow, you imagine going to wrestling and sitting in the leather seats? Have you been to a WrestleMania yet?
Nah, not yet. I wanted to go this year, but you know, the world went kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm praying you get to go to one very soon, man. I got LA, Texas, and Vegas on the mind. I'm not doing Tampa. But I've been to 2 of them, 28 and 33. Whatever is your favorite WrestleMania now, it will change for your first one. I guarantee you. And I always tell people, just go and enjoy it. turn off all the dirt sheets, just go network with other wrestling fans and just take it in. It's just one of those experiences that you just really can't, and it's not that expensive. A lot of people think it's so expensive. You come up with a budget and then you can make it work. So definitely hoping, we will be at one of them together, and maybe even do some create some content.
Yeah, we can definitely make that happen, bro. But we're gonna wrap it up here for another episode of ITRS, because me and Brian can talk about wrestling until next WrestleMania. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for showing your love, your support, your comments. As always, I'm your host, BDJ, aka BD for the County, aka the voice of the county, aka I see the game like Romo, aka I see the game like Lamar, aka I'm gonna make niggas mad with this one, the EST or TWT. See y'all next week.